My name is Marina, and this is my walkaway story. Um, I was handed being a liberal and being a Democrat, kind of like most people. I wasn't raised necessarily, whatever they are today. I'm not sure that's what they were back when I first started voting Democrat. I just thought that's what I did. Um, and, as I look back on it today, I realize that the very same sinister ideology that has people wearing masks because they think that they need to do it for someone else is the same way that I ended up becoming a liberal. Um, I didn't go through my life. Certainly, I mean, I had my ups and downs, I had my discouraging moments, but I did not go through my life feeling oppressed. I didn't go through my life thinking I can't make it on my own. I need help. I need help. I didn't grow up like that. So I didn't think like that, and I thought other people need for me to be this way. Boy, was I wrong. And I kind of feel even a little bit guilty for the years that I feel like my mindset and my ideology and how I voted actually has oppressed other people. Um, I walked away from the Democrat Party and from liberalism in general, one failed ideology at a time. It just seemed like one thing after another um, that was supposed to be the liberal policy, the savior of poor minorities and women, whatever it was not only a failure, but it was intentionally designed to fail, intentionally designed to impress, intentionally designed to keep you down. My first turning point was looking at kindergarten schools. That's when I realized the public school was a failure and an intentional failure. I looked at the things that they had in place, like teacher tenure and things like that, that made it so that the students were not priority, but not hurting a teacher's feelings was. That's not right. So, the homeless problem, living in Los Angeles, the homeless problem continued to get worse and worse. And I even asked someone a couple of years ago, I'm like, we put a lot of money into this. It's one initiative after another. And the problem's not even getting better, it's getting worse. Shouldn't we at least require that it get better before we give them any more money? It's not getting better. And so that's very much how my progression ran. I don't have amnesia. So if they tell me, we need money for this, we need money for that, and I say, okay, a person doesn't get to come back to me, and that's personal, business, politics, anything else, and say, I need more money for the same thing a few years later, and I'm not going to say, well, what happened to the money you got before? I don't operate like that. So my lack of having amnesia, my desire to hold people accountable, although I later learned to try holding government accountable. It's not easy. Um, that became a problem for me. And so that's how I ended up walking away, sort of one failed policy at a time. But I didn't learn the history of the Democrat Party until later. And I don't even know how they pulled off that con. I guess they pulled it off with public schools. Party of Slavery, Democrats. Party of the KKK, Democrats. Party of Jim Crow, Democrats. Party of Segregation, Democrats. I didn't even know. I didn't know that until after I had walked away. I learned that from other people who had walked away. You have to wear a mask because you're going to protect other people. If that's true, then how come when you go in the hospital, they don't have masks on the patients to protect the doctors and nurses instead of the other way around? Lies, 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 more lies. Anyway, I digress. As I started walking away, I decided that I wanted to help educate people on not the history of the Democrat Party, but to find out, like, what is it that you want? What is it that you need? What is it that you're missing? What makes you feel like you need this kind of help or that kind of help? And I found out that most people didn't say they needed any help. And if they did say they needed help, the kind of help that they got was especially the kind of help that was never going to be available because liberal policies are designed to fail. I think it's intentional. I'll let other people make up their own mind about that. But I would ask people, how are you oppressed? What is it that you want that you can't have? Tell me what you can't do. And a lot of it was by design, and it doesn't just affect minorities. It doesn't just affect Black people or Hispanic people. It affects everyone who doesn't know. And most people are programmed to not know. Um, you know, I think most people know that there were very high up people who brought drugs into our neighborhood. There were also very high up doctors who sent drugs into other neighborhoods. Sometimes people are not good people. I think that most people are basically good. But if I'm wrong and most people are basically bad, then that means that there's a lot of bad people in government. If most people are basically good, but government never has to be accountable for anything that they do bad, then it would be logical that they're loaded up with bad people. And they are loaded up with a lot of bad people and a lot of scared people because bad people scare normal people. I came to that conclusion just by watching the scared faces of people in corrupt courts when they knew the judges were wrong, when they knew that what was happening was not right. And you asked them about it, and they would just look down. So that's what happens. So as I started to walk away and I asked people, what I found that was that most people were liberals because they thought someone else needed them to be. Ooh, don't we all wish that we could abdicate our personal responsibility by paying higher taxes and not actually doing anything ourselves? Doesn't work. Those people that are asking you for more tax money will take your tax money and they will use it to line their own pockets, pay off their friends, and the people that you intended to help will never get help. Don't believe me? Look at the VA. Why is it there? Those people pay a lot of taxes. And this is not about whether it should be there or whether it shouldn't be there. Is having the VA in West LA actually what's best for the patients that go there, aside from the fact that it's been there a long time? Or is that land being held hostage by the government? I'm not going to make that decision for you. You can decide for yourself. But my point is, everything that they seem to try to do fails, and they always make us think it's our fault. Just like if someone next to us gets sick and we're not wearing a mask, that it was our fault. If everything is your fault, my suggestion, roll up your sleeves, become the next Brandon. Become the next Scott Pressler. Do something yourself. The most true statement that was ever spoken, and it's spoken over and over, and I don't think we really think about it the way that we should. Secure your own mask first. The first time I heard that on an airplane, I didn't get it. When I was a mother, I was scared by it because I'm like, but I have to help my daughter. But if I don't put on my own mask first, we might both die. Because if I don't get my mask on so that I can ensure that she gets hers on, she's not going to be able to help me get mine on, and then she's probably sure enough going to perish. That liberalism is the concept of forcing you to secure everyone else's mask, all the poor, all the disenfranchised, all the minorities, whoever it is, whatever group, to secure their mask first while you're gasping for air, while you're drowning in taxes, while you're drowning in debt. Secure your own mask first, then roll up your sleeves and help the person next to you secure their mask so they can secure someone else's. And that's how I became the most conservative that I know. Our government is so entrenched, we can't uninstall them. Some of them are tyrannical, some of them are not. But how do we let them make laws about how we recall them from office? Any politician. We got to be able to show up at City Hall and voice vote them out of office if we want our city council gone. How do we allow them to make laws that infringe upon our rights? We just kind of were busy going about our life struggling to survive. Our masks were not secure. And just like anything that's insecure, it makes you afraid to take a stand. It makes you uncertain what action to take. They've created an entire insecure population. You're not good enough to help the people in your neighborhood that are homeless yourself. So hand over the money and let us take care of it. And then there's more homeless people. I researched for myself that the policies were failure by design. I'm not going to try to convince someone else in my walkaway statement. Walk away from big government. Make yourself personally accountable. It's not about Democrat or Republican. It really isn't. People say that it's not. Some of the people that I know that are conservative don't even really know why they're conservative. It's kind of the same as a lot of people that I know that call themselves liberal. So, you know, I've known that things are not right because I experienced them, and I refuse to categorize them as this is a one-off. I think a lot of people do that. You got a problem with the criminal justice system? Stop pleading guilty. Demand your speedy trial. Remain silent. Don't agree to searches. The rights are yours to take. You have to take them. And when you do, I hear people, a lot of black people say, well, the Constitution wasn't written for me. I'm like, sure it was. That's like saying it wasn't written for a baby that wasn't born yet. It wasn't written for women. Everyone that was subsequently included that was American, it belongs to you. Or you could continue to live under 500,000 pages or more of statutes. California criminal penal code, the federal code, criminal code. Every different state's got their own, rules, regulations, ordinances, permits, license fees. How do we agree to have a fee to get our hair did? I'm not oppressed. I've never felt oppressed. I tell people that feel oppressed that maybe you should check your attitude. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. Maybe theirs is bad, but it may not have anything to do with your race. Corruption, when I push back on that, I wasn't just oppressed. I was intimidated and scared. And so were other people of other races. I met them. I've interviewed. I've talked to them. I did the research for myself. I found out what a good system was and what a bad system was. And when I started trying to undo the bad system, it got pretty scary. No one wanted to hear it. Either they were too scared to try to undo it, or they were part of it and were benefiting from it. That's my walk away story. Sometimes it seems so big and so overwhelming, I don't really know what to do next, but I'm making this video. Walk away from big government, make yourself accountable. Everyone does it, and then you don't need big government. And I walked away from leaving government to fix my problems, essentially. That's what I did. That's what I walked away from. I walked away from expecting people who were elected to be smarter than me, to know more than me, to be more competent than me, and to fix things better than I could. I can't fix things for a whole bunch of people, but neither can they. They've tried, maybe, I don't know. They failed. I've interviewed, I've dug, I've researched, I've crunched numbers. They've had enough time. They've had my entire lifetime to get some of this stuff right. And as far as I can tell, it gets worse and worse and worse. They can't do anything right. I don't really necessarily feel like they all need to be replaced. I live in Los Angeles. We have a Los Angeles City Council, and we have Los Angeles County Supervisors, and we have a mayor of Los Angeles. We have Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and LAPD, Santa Monica PD, Culver City PD, Gardena PD, Torrance PD, Hawthorne PD. Who decided on all that? They make it so difficult for you to defend yourself that they've even made illegal some certain kinds of stun guns and things like that. What they're trying to do is make you helpless, totally dependent on government, and then they're going to stand down. Big government, not the answer to anything. It's just a place where evil people who don't want to be held accountable can congregate and leech off of others. Walk away.